Hi everyone, Chillax here and welcome back to another Anchor Panic video. So as you can see before you, I have organized the entire CN, Global, and JP timeline in chronological order of their operator releases. The purpose of today's video is basically to make an argument regarding what the order of the next 9 operators will be for the global server. I'm about 80% confident with this timeline, and what I'll do is I'll basically craft my argument first, and once you believe me, then we will get right into what each of these 9 operators to do and what I recommend you do as a free-to-play player, whether to pull or pass on each of these 9. So without further ado, let's begin. Okay, so I need to explain some things first. You'll probably notice a horizontal line through the slide, and this is intentional. So any operators listed above the white line means that those operators have already been released on the global server, okay? And then below the green line starts to reveal operators that have not been released for the global server. Now you'll notice next that on the CN and JP timeline there's 2 operators that I highlighted in green. One is Alpine, the other is Argo. These are 2 operators that I think will be released next on the global timeline. However, do note that for the CN timeline, between Alpine and Argo was a limited time character, and for the JP side, between Alpine and Argo was a limited character. Now, if you pay attention to the release schedule, the operator for global server after Frostjade will be released between, I don't have the exact date, but it'll basically be between mid-January or late January to mid-February. And as many of you guys know, Chinese New Year will start this year, 2026. I want to say like February 17th or something like that. And for this reason, I think it's reasonable to believe that there will be a limited time banner during Chinese New Year, even though we're global, right? Because I know parts of Southeast Asia do celebrate Chinese New Year, and this is, after all, an Asian country that is producing this game. So for this reason, I think Adanie will be between Alpine and Argo on the global. Now, why Adanie and not YunZhuan? Because actually initially I was thinking YunZhuan, because YunZhuan was released during Chinese New Year on the CN server. And so I was thinking, okay, well, YunZhuan, it would make sense flavor-wise to have YunZhuan after Alpine. And that can certainly happen. However, I think that Adanie might be tied to the main story, maybe like chapter 10. I did have a conversation with Kwa Sensei about this, and he was telling me about how it was odd that Adanie was not mentioned or shown in the main story. Yeah, so for this reason, I do believe Adanie will be released simultaneously with Chapter 10. So yeah, it'll be Alpine, Adanie, Argo for global. And then after Argo, I believe it'll be Plenilune and Cardiac next, just because for both CN and JP timeline, it was Plenilune and then Cardiac. So yeah, so that's why I have that. And then everything in the purple box, it was the exact same order for both CN and JP, so I have no reason to believe that it won't be the same way for global. Yeah, so I think based on this deduction, this is the order that I predict below the white line that will chronologically be released for the global server. And you'll probably notice a double asterisk, asterisk, where in the purple box, YunZhuan version 2.5, on the CN server, this was when Guild Wars was released. And it's like a guild versus guild PvP, essentially, where you conquer territory. I'll talk about that in the next video. On the JP timeline, I found out on the JP Discord server that Abyss Elysia was released simultaneously with Guild Wars. I found an infographic on Guild Wars, like a really long one. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that on version 1.9 we will get Guild Wars, and so the next video will be on that. That's why I have the double asterisk. So anyways, let's get on to each of these 9 operators and briefly what they do. Now keep in mind that the next 9 operators that I'm about to talk about, I do have a full kit summary video of each of these 9 operators. Each one has a video on my YouTube channel, so if you want to know in great depth what each skill, energy burst, ascension, signature sigil, etc. does, you have to check those videos out. But essentially the first operator, Alpine, is a nature breaker, and her kit revolves around defense ignore as well as counterattacks. Not only the enemy hitting her and then she counterattacks, but I think also under certain conditions, if an ally was to get hit, she counterattacks as well. So she's like a damage dealing unit who happens to also be a breaker, so she could have some relevance in Entropy Cataclysm, for instance, where, you know, fire element is really weak right now because all 3 SSR operators on the fire element side are dedicated AoE damage dealers, and so given that there's a single boss there, they're not doing too well. I think the best single target DPS is Firefly, and she's an SR unit. So for this reason, it's entirely possible that after Alpine is released, her in combination with Dwalin and Dawn and even Catalpa could allow the nature element to overtake the fire element as the 5th best team for Entropy Cataclysm. Yeah, but I think even with that in mind, I know a lot of free-to-plays, they skip Dwalin, or maybe you are a new player right now, and so one way or the other you don't have Dwalin, the nature striker, on your account. So I think that free-to-play players, what you should probably do is try to secure A3 Frostjade before her banner expires, and then wait to see how she performs, the lady above me. If she doesn't perform too well, then I think it's pretty safe to skip her, because we're not going to have the nature healer or the nature support until like a long time from now. Yeah, so, but I think she might be relevant. She might be valuable for your account. Okay, so the next operator is going to be Adanie. Now on the CN side, she was a standard banner. On the JP side, she was buffed and was a limited operator. Now I know it says she's a striker here, and I was told by Kwa Sensei that she's actually a breaker, which is kind of funny because if you look at my CN my CN video on Adanie, the infographic says that she's a support, but I think Kwa is fairly confident she's a breaker, and I trust him, so yeah, she's a breaker, and she's going to be a very powerful breaker who will overtake Abyssal as the breaker of choice. Now interestingly, for the CN server, Abyssal was actually an SR operator, which may explain why she's not that strong compared to Lang Jiao, who's a stun operator but breaks and lowers ice resistance even better than Abyssal. So I think for the, when Adanie releases as a limited time operator on Chinese New Year for global, you should probably pick her up. She basically buffs your ice elemental damage of your party, as well as does a lot of damage. Her kit revolves around locking onto the target and basically ignoring certain parts of the enemy, such as control and other stuff. Yeah, you'll have to watch my CN video on her, Her kit is quite complicated, but I think she will be a must pull for your account. Okay, and then the next operator will be Argo. Now the thing about Argo is that her kit's pretty fun because essentially her talent 1 makes her like pull things out of her backpacks, and there's like 3 different things that she could pull out of her backpack. 2 of them are, I think, defensive buffs, and 1 of them's offensive, or maybe vice versa. I don't quite remember. But other than that, like, she has a stun, but it doesn't actually stun. It's like just removing energy from the enemy. She's like an energy remover from the enemy, which I don't know if it's good enough. Yeah. If you want to know more details, you can check out my Argo video. I think for most players, she'll probably be a pass. Now, obviously, I'm going to pull a copy of her, because I like her for some reason. Like, her character design appeals to me. But I think for most free-to-play players, you'll probably skip her. Like, I think Alpine might be a higher priority than her, even though her kit's really fun. Okay, and then next we have Plenilune. So she's going to be a standard banner, but everyone needs to summon her. Not only because she's hot, but because she's the first defender in the game who can actually truly tank. And her kit revolves around moon blades, where, you know, when she basically generates moon blades every time that her AoE shield gets hit by somebody, and then, you know, whenever the shield takes a hit, it'll calculate how much damage that was, and on the 6th hit, then, like, I think when the shield breaks, she like completely neutralizes that damage, and then like something happens. And I think she has other parts of her kit. I don't remember. I just remembered her being OP as heck. And if you watch my CN video on Gleam, who is a really OP ice support, Plenilune's like in all the PvP teams, and I would presume all the PvE teams too. Yeah, she's really OP. You should get her. Yeah, and then the next operator is going to be Cardiac. Now the thing about Cardiac is, you know, even though she's going to be our second fire defender, I'm kind of not sure whether you should summon for her or not. I think for most players, she will be a skip just because you can always fail the 50-50 to her, and Momiji hasn't been released yet, and Momiji will be the reason why you play fire. So for this reason, she will be a skip. But of note with her is that she's the only operator who can change the position of the enemy. She's the only operator who can prevent debuffs like freeze and stun and that sort of thing from even sticking. And she also is the other tank besides Plenilune, who we just talked about, who can actually tank for your team. And even with the buff for Quasar, who's the other fire defender, she's still kind of mid because her crit rate buff isn't enough to make Cardiac or Quasar relevant. But I think with all that, I think she's going to be a skip, unfortunately. I mean, I'm going to pull her because she's hot, but she might be a skip for most free-to-play players. And then the next operator who everybody must pull for is going to be YunZhuan. She's going to be a physical defender. She'll be the last physical element that we will get until CN server releases another one, and she's really powerful. Actually, when I think about it now, I think she's another defender who can actually tank for your party, but she also has other insane parts of her kit that revolves around floating talismans, as well as auspicious protection. Her kit is really complicated. You really need to watch my video on her. I don't think I'm going to remember everything, but she's a really good tank. Like, she reduces the target's attack, she shields everyone via barrier wards, and what else? Yeah, she's really good. You should watch my video. I don't remember her kit. Okay, and then the next one is going to be Morpho, who yeah, she's really cool. So she is a lightning stun operator who, if you get ascensions on her, she can actually perma-stun an enemy, according to Kwa Sensei. But she's like a stun operator who can stun, like make the enemy not move in the same way that Lang Jiao freezes. Now, I can't remember if the stun is like AoE or a single target, but the thing is, like, her kit revolves around summoning lightning orbs that once you get all three, I think they stun the enemy. And then she also, I think, provides some other stuff too. I'm uncertain as to whether she's a must pull or not, but I think Kwa Sensei was saying that Morpho will make what's her Thunderrock even better, because you know how Thunderrock can't heal herself? Well, Morpho apparently is a good partner to her, so she might be more of a PvP unit. Yes. And then the next operator after Morpho is going to be Momiji, and if you care about the fire element, then she will be a must pull. Now, I did have an interesting discussion about her briefly with Kwa Sensei yesterday. Kwa Sensei was explaining to me that right now the fire element is not that strong for Entropy Cataclysm, which is the giant robo lady PvE game mode, because all three SSR fire element strikers, their specialty is AoE damage, and because the Fox Robo Lady is only one enemy, so the majority of their damage is not realized. And so Momiji will be the fire striking single target DPS of choice for the fire element. But it's not just that. Momiji, as part of her kit, makes it so that the enemy cannot generate shields, which for me didn't sound like anything important, but apparently in Entropy Cataclysm it's very important, because Momiji, by preventing the Robo Lady from generating a shield, apparently the shield on the Robo Lady allows the Robo Lady to do more damage and also take less damage. So essentially you're increasing your damage output with Momiji's passive. I think it's from her signature sigil. Yeah, if you want to know more about her, you should check out my video. And then finally, after Momiji, it's going to be Kovneil, who was released for the JP server yesterday. Now, Kovneil is a fire stun operator who revolves around spirits. She has like 4 different spirits that all grant different buffs to herself, and if you have her ascensions, she can pass those buffs on to her allies too, I think, if memory serves me right. And then she also does other stuff too, like she prevents debuffs from sticking, so that's noteworthy. But I don't know if she's a must pull though. Yeah, I think even with her release, the fire element still needs a lot of help. So anyways, that pretty much wraps it up for this video. I hope it was informative. Let me know in the comment section below who you'll be summoning for or saving for, and who you will be skipping. And if you haven't already, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care, guys.